Okay, so first session in the morning and first sessions after lunch are always fun. So thank you everyone for attending. My name is Stojan, and today I'll be talking a little bit about cloud implemented security and how we do this with Cisco technologies. So as you all may know, the perimeter is no more. So users are all around. Everyone's using their mobile devices, their phones. Cloud infrastructure is now our infrastructure. And basically, just about every application that we're using, be it a business one, be it personal one, etc., actually lives in the cloud. Now, what does this mean for us as the IT folks? So what does this mean for our data flows? What does this mean for our IT networks, and so on? So looking at our traditional networks, you had your HQ, you had your remote locations, you had your remote users, you had your VPNs, MPLS, and so forth, and a bunch of data that you were, again, consuming in the cloud basically went to the HQ, it went out the single pipe, it went through the bottleneck, and whatever was left internal, okay, it went through the same pipe, but maybe the quality was so-so. So what does this mean for our issues? What does this mean for our performance? Oops, it is. Okay. So obviously the app performance may suffer because we use the same pipe. We may use QoS, but it's not that effective. The user experience suffers. The security, again, we use the same pipe, we use the same connections, and so forth, may not be as successful. There's a bunch of different tools and vendors to actually monitor the traffic, to visualize it, to filter it, and so forth. And there's a bunch of integration that needs to be done to actually enable everyone to connect the same way, to identify, to try to establish the connections, and so on. So again, as we are used to our DC-centric network, with the DC being the center, with our MPLS VPN connection going out there, with the perimeter actually sitting somewhere in between, again, this is no longer the case. And basically we need to realize that our users are used to actually being sitting at home for the last 2 years. Our offices are all around the world. Our data, our applications, our networks are already in the cloud. So what do we do with security? Do we do it the same way? Hardly. Because again, the security controls, the mechanisms, the way on how we do security has changed. And how has this changed? Well, it moved next to where our data is, next to where our networks are, next to where our users are sitting, meaning it actually migrated into the cloud. It migrated to where the things are going on, and basically this is what we need to embrace. And the concept around this moving everything to the cloud is called SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, meaning that we take our security mechanisms, we take our identity controls, we take our posture, etc., and we migrate this into the cloud, including all the mechanisms that we have available. So when we look at Cisco's solution and how basically they approach it, they have like these 3 big building blocks. On the left-hand side, you have your workers, locations, everything, wherever it may be. Again, could be in Slovenia, could be in Russia, could be in China, could be in US, could be sitting back home, could be in an office, could be in an airport, and so forth. Basically, it doesn't matter, because we want to have the same security for whichever type of communication we have. Then we have our SASE, we have our cloud-based security, which combines software-defined WAN. So we need to have an intelligent WAN connection which understands the types of traffic, understands the apps, understands the security, and integrates this into the flows. We have security based inside the cloud. Again, if everything is in the cloud, why not also move the security mechanisms into the cloud and implement it there? And there's obviously the middle mile, basically to get from point A to point B. And then on the right-hand side, we have our providers. Could be our own DC, either in the cloud or some service provider. Could be some infrastructure as a service, software as a service provider, or it could just be the simple internet that we all love and use. And basically, the whole schema is provided to have end-to-end visibility, meaning we know when, what, where our users, our apps, our networks are doing. We try to reduce the costs by integrating the whole solution into one. We improve the user experience. Again, single user experience, single pane of glass, single way of how we do things, regardless of location, regardless of networks, etc. And we minimize the risk, again, by having a same platform, same ideas on how we do things, regardless of the connection type, etc. So, what are some of the main building blocks of the solution that we're talking about today? First of all, we need to connect things. We need to connect the people to the apps, the networks, to the clouds, and so on. We need to do this in a software-defined way, meaning that it should be automated and cloud-based orchestrated. So regardless of, again, where offices are, where our users are, we need to have an automated way on how to provide this integration. It should have access to the cloud-based providers, be it Amazon, be it Azure, etc. So not everything needs to go through the HQ or to the central location. It can go directly to the cloud provider and be handled there. It should have middle mile optimization, so again, understanding the traffic, understanding the apps, and so forth. It should understand the security, provide macro segmentation for types of apps, types of users, etc. that we're running through. We should have dynamic performance routing. Again, is my MPLS link full? Okay, let's switch to the fiber. Is my fiber full? Okay, there's always the dial-up and so on. And I'm no longer using that much data. Okay, let's cut down the dial-up and then switch down to MPLS and fiber and so forth. And again, visibility, analytics, software as a service. So again, with all the data that's traveling through, with all the information that we're seeing, we need to have a strong cloud-based visibility and analytics to actually understand what is happening, what is an anomaly, what is a regular type of connection that we see, and so forth. And with Cisco SD-WAN, be it from the Viptela or Meraki side, we can achieve most of those things in a nice, comfortable way. Okay, we have connectivity. Now we want to make it secure. And again, having security, which is a bolt-on, which is something that thought of later on, usually doesn't work. Security needs to be integrated, it needs to be there from day 0 till day n, and basically it needs to work on multiple layers. Could be as simple as DNS level security, so basically just understand, filter, and drop incorrect packets. Could be cloud-related firewall. So if everything that you run, everything you do is in the cloud, do you really need to have your perimeter firewall? Again, what is the perimeter nowadays? You need to have your secure web gateway. So again, layer 3, layer 4 firewalls, they're fine, but again, this is the modern internet. This is the applications, this is the encrypted traffic, etc. We need to understand what's happening inside the web traffic, and we need to analyze it, we need to see inside it. We need to be able to control access to our data as it's being published, as it's being controlled, as it's being put on public services, and what our users are doing with this data. So we need CASB and DLP. We need secure remote access. So again, traditional way of doing remote access is, okay, I have my VPN concentrator, could be my firewall, could be a dedicated device and so on. And then I have my identity solution, could be Cisco ISE, could be Microsoft AD, could be something else, etc. And this is something that I run on-prem. But again, on-prem, so do we really need this? Is it something that's required? Well, with the SASE solution, no longer really. So we can actually migrate the whole VPN connectivity solution into the cloud as well, and then basically just provide connectivity to our data, to our networks, to our data centers, and so forth. And again, we need to have regular, up-to-date threat intel about what's happening on our network, what's happening around us. Is what we're seeing something specific? Is it something that everyone's seeing? Is this a threat that is geared toward us, and so forth? And then again, it helps to have an XDR platform which consumes this data, which provides visibility, which provides threat hunting, automation, scripting, and so forth, to actually help us orchestrate the whole thing from the get-go. And the platform that we could be using here is the umbrella and the related products which combine with the solution. Okay, then we need to actually understand how our users are connecting. What are they doing as they're connected? So are they actually allowed to talk to the apps? Are they allowed to touch the data? Do we actually understand the full context of who connected, when they connected, with what, when, how, where, etc. And basically this is where adaptive multi-factor auth comes in, meaning that we need to understand which user with which device connected in what way, in order for us to allow them access to the cloud, to the information that's available. We need to understand the status of their device, be it the phone, be it PC, be it the Mac, regardless. We need to provide least privilege access. So not even root, not even admin really needs all that access. If they do, okay, they can get it, but not by default. So we need to just give them just enough access so that they basically perform the task that they need. If they need to escalate it, okay, write it in log, create an audit record so you know what's going on, but then basically log out and so forth. The verification needs to be continuous. It's not a one-time thing. Basically, again, as security is not a one-time event, also the context needs to be verified all the time. And then again, long or medium-term analytics to understand what our users are doing, how they're connected to devices, Was this an anomaly? Someone who's trying to connect from Beijing and Ljubljana at the same time? That's probably not a good thing, and so on. So trying to understand actually what's going on, regardless of the app, regardless of the application, and so forth. And Cisco Duo is the solution that we can leverage here. And then, as I said a few times by now, having the solution without knowing how it works, having no visibility, having no way of understanding how our network-based app works, how our users connect from point A to point B, how basically the network reacts on some BGP outage, on some network going down, on some pipe being rerouted, and so forth. We need to have a way to visualize our business-oriented paths to understand, okay, this is how 90% of our users connect to our Oracle in the cloud. This is how basically our access to our local Azure or AWS POP looks like, and so forth. And using Thousand Eyes, using the visualization, Internet and WAN health, understanding how BGP routes change over time, and so forth, actually gives us this. And obviously, we shouldn't forget our users. So again, most of us have been remote workers for the last 2 years. And basically, having a call from your boss at 2 a.m., my internet is not working. Okay, what is not working? Is it the internet, et cetera, et cetera. So actually having an insight into actually what's going on with the users, what's going on with their connections, to have basically this information 1 hour, half an hour, 5 minutes before is more valuable than basically we can imagine. Just to understand what's actually taking place. And actually, again, on the end of the day, it's about our users. It's basically how our users connect, how our users' machines are handled, how basically we understand what's happening on our phones, on our Macs, on our tablets, on our PCs, and so forth, by combining everything from VPN connectivity to endpoint compliance, again, understanding what each process, each application, each file is doing on the endpoint itself, integrating this into the SASE solution, and providing end-to-end encryption, be it on the LAN, so for both wired and wireless connections, and for the VPN connections. And this is basically where the Cisco AnyConnect actually comes in to tie in the whole picture for the end users. And we come back to the architecture. It's easy, yeah? So we have our users on secure edge and so on. We have our SD-WAN, we have our security edge, we have our provider sitting out there, and so on. But what if? What if something happens? Is it the Wi-Fi? Is it the SD-WAN? Is it the internet? Is it the security as a service? Is the ISP doing something wrong? At the end of the day, is this my fault? Is this something that I have to care about? And is this something that's, let's say, part of what I actually should be doing? So, is my, basically, goal of what I'm doing actually my business? Be it running an e-store, be it running a company, be it running a manufacturing business and so forth? Or should I actually focus on my business and allow someone else to actually take care of the technical parts for me? And this is where we come in. This is where NIL, as a part of Concha, comes into the story by actually providing you with a 24/7 visibility, by providing you with the licensing, by providing you with the personnel, and actually providing with the whole network of knowledge from Slovenia up to the Baltics, wherever we are currently located. So we provide connections to provide the underlay, SD-WAN, SASE, as well as the Zero Trust, and the components themselves. So what is in it for you at the end of the day? As far as the underlay goes, we can actually talk to the providers to set up the best way of connectivity, to basically provide, basically purchase some bandwidth, and to manage the POPs wherever you're actually sitting. As far as the SD-WAN goes, we can actually consult and verify with you what type of the solution works best for you. Is it fully managed, like a Cisco Meraki, or is it Vitella, where you can actually tune stuff, where you can actually fiddle with it, where you can have, let's say, a bit better visibility, etc. So again, provide the choice, provide redundancy, provide the routing, and so forth. Then we have the SASE. Again, we have the umbrella part, we have the filtering, IPS, and so forth. Or again, as we said before, if you want to migrate your firewall to the cloud, if you want to migrate your proxy into the cloud, again, this can all be arranged by basically just paying what you consume and being bundled into the licenses themselves. And at the end of the day, identity and Zero Trust. This is where we have our AnyConnect client and building the whole architecture from your user to your data center, to your app, to your network on the zero trust principles, basically just allowing you the appropriate access at the appropriate time for the appropriate users. And with the managed service, what you get a network of experts, again, ranging from Slovenia to the Baltics and Scandinavia in between, with full NOC and SOC services, guarding the whole path as we go along. You have a choice of SLA, reporting, and underlay management as you go. And again, with a bunch of well-skilled, well-trained, and well-motivated engineers to actually provide the service for you. So what we provide, again, 400 plus engineers across the whole Europe, almost 200 currently top certified engineers, flexible partnership, independence of service providers, again, regardless of the country where we operate, and basically understanding your business and basically providing the capabilities that you need. Thank you.